I wrote down just a couple things. I'm sure that there'll be people here with more facts and figures. But my first question is it legal to buy and sell marijuana? And is it legal to own marijuana? Is it? Do you know? Can anybody answer?
Yeah.
It's legal to buy and sell marijuana. It's legal to possess marijuana in Minnesota. Regular marijuana, not THC stuff. Okay. When did that start? Okay. Why are we're putting the cart before the horse here. You're giving us a chance to opine on something that you've already decided on and you're going to vote on in 4 days. And you think that you can just like wipe your hands clean like, well, we did it, we did our due diligence. No. I was at that meeting 3 weeks ago. There wasn't one person, not one, who said that they wanted to be on the hook for a marijuana dispensary. Not one. So, aren't you representing us? Why would you continue with this folly? You know it's not going to work. I mean, they're good. They give their numbers. That's their job. I mean, come on. There's already 2 dispensaries here in Osseo, right?
I can answer to that if you'd like.
Are there?
Yes, there are 2 dispensaries
Okay.
here in Osseo. Something that we forgot to mention in our presentation is one of the benefits of a municipal dispensary, like Patrick talked about, is that doesn't have to follow the same tax structure, right? So we have the opportunity to be very competitive with our pricing. I don't know about you, but for example, if there's something that I want to buy, I'm willing to drive 5 minutes further to get it for $5, $10, $15 less. And I would continue to do that if I have a good experience at the store.
Okay.
So that's one of the benefits of having a municipal.
We're missing the whole point here. We don't want to be on the hook for $4 million for something that's going to fail. Just because you say it's not going to fail, that doesn't mean anything. I don't trust any of you to be able to do anything. Every monetary decision that's made on behalf, quotes, behalf of us, we should be informed about. We're not here to have you tell us what you're doing. That's stupid. What do you mean you're telling us what you're going to do? So you're trying to go forward with a plan that not one person last meeting, and I suspect no one this meeting, is going to say that they want. So why in the world would you do it? I was thinking, maybe they're stupid, and I talked to my wife and I said, maybe they're evil. Maybe they're evil. And I thought, no, they're not smart enough to be evil. So I'm dropping back to stupid. And now, Mark Cook's not here because I called him dumb a couple of weeks ago. Oh my God, what a tough guy he is. I called him dumb.
Mark is on vacation, sir.
Okay. So yeah, he shouldn't be here. Why should he be here? He's on vacation.
This is a respectful meeting. We don't call people stupid.
He's on
and dumb.
vacation.
How about we go to somebody next?
How about you shut up? I'm not done yet.
You're being disrespectful.
I don't know who you are, but keep your trap shut.
This is absolutely disrespectful.
Are you for the dispensary?
It doesn't matter my opinion. Be respectful.
Your opinion doesn't matter to me. I'm talking.
Be respectful.
Oh, shut up.
Oh boy, hey.
Okay, so it's legal to buy and sell marijuana.
Next.
Okay, so we've got that. I think this whole problem with you guys trying to make money is we have 300% more cops than we had 10 years ago. So you're trying to find a way to pay for them. I understand with their pay, their retirement, and their benefits, it's over $100,000 a year. So you've got way too many cops. You know that. I see them parked all around here. They have nothing to do. And I don't blame the cops for taking the job. It's a good job, and they don't have much to do. It's not dangerous. So that's your first mistake, is you decided you need, what, 16 full-time cops instead of 5? What? You can answer me. Is it more or less? What am I wrong about? How many do we have? 12,
How
okay.
many cops are on the force?
Right, tonight, supposed to see Cannabis.
No, this is all part of that. You're trying to fund the cops. Okay. All right, people. I'm done, but I don't give a shit what that guy said behind me. I don't know who he is. I'm sure he's MAGA.
Next.
All right, it's a beautiful night, and we all chose to come here tonight to discuss what most of us in the room disagree with. So I want to take that opportunity. Thank you everyone for coming on this beautiful night where you can sit on our patio, have a couple beers. Some of you can smoke a joint, but we're not. We're here tonight to address the council and to you about this particular issue. I moved to Osseo in 2011. My property taxes were $2,200 a year. Now, with our assessment on our taxes because of an alley that you guys decided to make of concrete versus asphalt, we are now sitting at $6,300 a year on our property taxes. You're gonna tax us out of our homes with this dispensary when it fails. I don't care what the building looks like. I really don't. What I care about is sitting in the middle of our town. Are you going to enforce the noise ordinance? Are there going to be constant police sitting there? It's in the middle of our town with children riding their bikes, riding their scooters, and there's going to be people sitting out there drinking beer. I don't care. I love my beer. But then, how many people are going to come to town, buy their weed, sit in the parking lot, and smoke their weed with our children running around town? I don't agree with that. I don't care what you do on your own personal time, but I do care what you do in my city. Like I said, I have lived here since 2011, and I've never been more disappointed than how I am now. I'm disappointed. It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. My parents live in Maple Grove. They have 3 times the lot that I do, and they pay $4,200 a year.
Yep.
We're buying our water from them.
Yep.
Another thing is $2.6 million of you guys already spending the money. That's still too much. You should have thought of that third option prior to spending all of this money on that building.
Where was the vote?
There's 4 months of demolition. McDonald's does it in 2 weeks. Why is it taking this long? There's state cap at cultivators. Yes, there is, but there's state statute on how many people can sell weed in this town. It is done by how many people per capita. So why do we have 3? What percentage of the sales tax is going to Voyageur? Are these going to be city employees? Are they going to be part of the benefit package that offers to the city? Colorado? Have you guys seen the news about Colorado lately? Their stores are closing left and right. So how is this going to be successful? Thank you.
Hi, I'm Tim Paskey, 5009 6th Avenue Northeast, Osseo, Minnesota. And as I look, I see neighbors, friends, people I don't know. For almost 40 years, I worked 1 block away here at the high school. Coached industrial arts, coached hockey, and I just wrote down a few thoughts. I'm not here to throw pins at you, because what you're doing is like coaching hockey. You're only 50% right, no matter what decision you make. So, when you look at mood-altering drugs, which is something we really preach to our players about, stay clean, stay away from this stuff. I think the more options we give kids that aren't of age, it's going to continue on in their lives after they are of age. When you look at tobacco, I don't smoke, I don't drink. I'm not an angel, but a lot of people people our age now, we've made a decision long ago what we want to do and not want to do with any type of mood-altering drugs. But tobacco, alcohol, marijuana, fentanyl, heroin, cocaine. I mean, I look at marijuana and know it's probably not as dangerous as some of these other ones, but man, I just can't see contributing to kids' lives by making it available to them. And we can say, well, you have to have an ID, they're gonna be 21. I just read in the paper now that one liquor store got nailed again for selling to underage kids. And if kids can get their hands on them, which they will, they're going to. So, I mean, I'm not, you're in a catch-22. You're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. But I did have a question about the old gun range. Is that not available for purchasing from the city at all, Dwayne?
Gun range is currently under contract, scheduled to close in August.
Okay. So, I mean, I'm just
That was a
wondering,
good idea at one time,
has the
wasn't
council
it?
ever considered maybe the city taking over that and using that as a way to get funds, you know, as a gun range and just a thought. I don't know all intimate details. But I mean, there is an option. And then I'm wondering, the chief's not here tonight, but I'm wondering where our police stand on, you know, more mood-altering drugs being available to the public. It's just, I don't know if you've ever had a friend or a child killed by a drunk driver, but every time I see it on the news, I say to my wife, I say, now why isn't that guy that hit that person, why isn't that murder? He knew what he was going to do when he overdrank too much, but well, so it goes. But anyway, another question, you folks. Is the law going to allow homegrown marijuana? Are people going to be able to do that in their gardens and stuff?
Yeah.
They are? I'm just curious if that's going to happen. So, anyway, good luck. Thanks for listening.
Hi, my name is Kathleen Getty. I'm a resident of Osseo, and I left my speech at home. So this is off the cuff. My main question is, what percentage or what number of residents that you surveyed wanted this? Wanted Osseo to buy a building and put a cannabis dispensary in it? What percentage? Did you survey the residents?
Nope.
At the beginning of this project, this has been 3 years, right? Mark? This was your idea, right? You and Juliana?
It wasn't my idea, no.
I think you've been really aggressive pushing this.
Was put in a position to work through all the details of this. Correct.
And why didn't anybody do a town hall with residents and get our feedback?
Right,
In the beginning,
right.
Yes,
Yep.
yes.
this is completely backwards. With surveying residents whom you serve.
Yes.
You represent us. How do you know what we want unless you ask us? I'm gonna ask, how many people, raise your hands, wanted a cannabis store? Anybody in this room?
Yep.
Okay, that's
And tax
fine.
relief too.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Yep.
Thank you. Now, that is huge, and I've seen this council fail at communicating with residents, and we used to have meetings with residents, get their input, ask for feedback,
Yes.
because that's the only way you're going to know what people want. We are the city. You are not the city. You wouldn't be here if it wasn't for this community. So you don't have any answer to the question, what number or percentage of residents want this? You've never asked that, is that correct? Can someone answer me?
This is a Q&A.
There you go.
Yeah.
No official survey, okay.
Any unofficial one?
I've seen a number of positive people have called and said, I know there's a number of people who posted this, but it makes all the sense in the world, and plus it makes sense financially, so. But they're afraid to
Yeah, where are
be
they?
shouted down by
They're
a lot
always
of
afraid
people.
to show up, right?
Okay, do a survey.
Yeah,
It's anonymous.
yeah.
You don't put names on a survey.
Is it too late now?
No,
Yes.
it's too late now. This should have taken place when the idea came up. And I know 3 years ago, it was a good idea. Osseo was going to be the first in this area, correct, Mark?
There's a lot of regulatory issues that have been in the way.
Don't, no,
What?
answer me, yes or no. Osseo
That was
was
our goal, yes.
planning to be the first.
And
And-
in our case, we'll probably be the second.
And it sounded like it was gonna make millions, right? Initially, 3 years ago, is that correct, yes or no?
Well,
Microphone for the answer, please.
As the numbers were put out on the slides here, there is going to be a significant amount of income that will represent a huge portion of taxes. When you're talking, $300,000, $600,000, that's double digits in tax increment, tax revenue that you can bring down the taxes here in this community, and also help fund other projects that we don't have the opportunity to. For example, some of these could be put into parks. There's a lot of growing families in this town, and even if some people don't want to use the parks, they do. So yes, the revenue potential is, in my personal opinion, the only reason that I even continued to work on this project.
Thank you for answering that. Okay, I lost my thought.
Can I-
What about when you find a building to sell cannabis, do you look at the neighborhood, the connected cities, and see how close they are? There's other cannabis stores or dispensaries close, and I think Osseo has 2.
We do.
THC, and then isn't there one planned? Another one planned? Is there another one planned?
The regulations per the state of Minnesota and the Office of Cannabis Management is you're allowed 1 per 12,500 residents, and municipal dispensaries don't count towards that count. So by law, there was another one that was approved, but they haven't done anything with it yet. But we can't stop them by law, so.
Thank you. Okay, the other thing I was going to say, just in general, I'm really appreciative of this process, the Q&A. But we were given a notice, come to the meeting with your questions, without any information on the presentation. We should have had that up front, so our researchers could have researched it and seen if it was accurate, if it was correct, and if it was something we could respond to. We can't look at all this information on a screen and come up here with realistic questions. It takes some time and do some research on our own to do that. So, thank you, that's all my comments.
Good evening, Mike Cornelius from 7th Avenue Northeast. Oh, I get it, you want to bring in revenue. I'll agree with you there. But, Councilman Schultz, you said at the last council meeting you hardly heard from anybody. Well, if we had this town hall meeting 2 or 3 years ago, you would have heard from a lot of people. Because typically when we come to a council meeting, like I told Councilman Torres, seems like we're talking to a wall. And I said, we need more of these town hall meetings on important issues like this before you get this far down the road. 2 years ago, when this started actually, the city's mission, the council's and city's mission statement was to be make fiscally responsible decisions. And that was your mission statement. And I told you back then, with some of your fiscal decisions, that you're failing your mission statement. Now, if I got these numbers wrong, please correct me. We paid $727,000 for the Osseo Press building, which should have been mowed down. And my understanding is it was for sale for like $450,000, give or take some change. Is that true or not?
That's incorrect. We bought it below the listed price.
Okay, I stand corrected then. I heard otherwise, okay?
We can look, we can see what it was listed
On to
for.
the brewery leasing. If the brewery doesn't, or the brewery doesn't make it the distillery, what's in the, is there lease stipulations in the statement if the lease is broken? I mean, what happens, I mean, we're talking about income from the lease, what happens if they break their lease?
Well, if they go out of business, and I believe they're here, they can discuss how long they've been in business, but the brewery side is 100% funded by the brewery. There's no city funds going into their build out of their operation or their improvements, other than, we have to put restrooms as a building owner there. But if they do, can't make it, they go out of business, then we have the ability to release that side of the building to a different use.
And if we don't have the money to pay the bond, if the cannabis doesn't sell as much or it doesn't stay in business, one or the other, and then the other portion, lease is broken, it goes on to a lot of it goes on to the taxpayers, yes? To pay the bond?
Well, if everything fails, then yes. I mean, that would be the case.
Okay, so does that just include the residents, or does that also include the businesses?
The businesses as well, spread over the entire city.
Spread over their value.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Does Voyager have any, do they pay any expenses? Have they got any skin in the game? Any money that they've paid for the build out or anything? Or?
Yeah, so I guess at the beginning when we kind of started talking about this in 2024, we weren't entirely sure, the location or who's going to pay for what, so we were willing to commit funds for the build out. We ended up going with the city-owned buildings that kind of go back to the city, but we are contributing working capital, initial inventory, and all those necessary startup costs.
Okay.
How much is that?
Well, that's about all the questions I have, but I just think it's, if you're gonna pass the vote, which I hope you don't, I hope the business makes the go of it, but if it doesn't, I sure hope you can come up with a plan instead of keep raising my taxes. You guys know that, what was it, 2 or 3 years ago? It made the Star Tribune that the city of Osceo's tax increase was what, 34%, the highest in the state of Minnesota? Or was something similar to that in the last couple of years?
Yep.
So,
And that has a lot to do with the increase in value of the homes from 2013 to 2023. Homes in Osseo appreciated a
No.
That's why we don't want other things to bring our taxes up, okay?
Nice
we
try.
get it, why your taxes go up because of values. But also the city budget's going up, and previous speakers have said that I'm not gonna bring up those because we're talking about the cannabis shop, but you guys really gotta start thinking about fiscal responsibility, not just keep spending money like the state of Minnesota. Thank you.
Construction costs are real.
I agree.
I don't think, weighing the fact of, we're gonna try to use as much stucco as we possibly can, but half of the stucco is gonna be tore off the building. Is it that much more just to tear the whole thing off and redo it? Or go back 3, 4, 5 years from now going, oh, we got crap stucco here, we gotta patch this, we gotta patch that.
Yeah.
I just,
We did go out for public bid.
We did go out for public bid, and we had 4 bids.
And we do have a low bid number that is in the numbers that I presented today.
So always taking the low bid, does that always mean the end result is gonna be what you want?
Right.
They're a very good general contractor.
Because we've learned that way, Jim. Who's the company that we work with? BWS, WSB, WBS?
WSB.
I call them WBS. Okay.
They're a very good contractor.
Yeah, but every project they do here, nothing seems to get finished, or it costs more money. It's always the way it is with them, you know? We still got alley projects that they haven't finished yet, a year ago.
There's a contract that they will have to
Yeah, well, that's a
fulfill.
contract on everything, but that, when they decide to do it, it's on their own time.
No,
You know?
no, there is a schedule and there will be liquidated damages to meet the deadline.
Well, my opinion, I'm in the construction business, and I think these bids are not right. And I'm
agree.
expecting, as a contractor myself, to see, additional costs for this, and additional costs for that. Well, we didn't see what was going on under the building, kind of like what happened when we built this. The additional costs for sewer and water that we had to pay for. Or the additional costs for the pump stations that we had to put in, and pay for all that stuff. Now you're talking about a $2.6 million build out. So that leaves us with what, $1.4 million on the bond? Where's that number? Am I correct? Is my numbers right? From what you see up here? The total build out of this 2.6, and we're doing a $4 million. Oh, no? Okay, so where did the $4 million come from?
We're open that building up.
That was a placeholder because we didn't have all the hard contract numbers in, and that just allowed, what last meeting was allowing our financial partner, Pellers, to go out and seek quotes for around that kind of a number. It was 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, 4, so it was just placed at 4. So it's never been a $4 million number.
All right, well, that's good. I feel better about that. I was hearing rumors it's $4 million.
There's a lot of rumors flying around with a lot of misinformation that we're learning the truth, and that's part of what is tonight, is to give the true information.
Says $4 million in the council package Monday.
There is a $4 million bond, and you're voting on it on the 13th.
It's not going to be formally.
It says on the contract.
A lot of numbers floating around up front.
The turnout that was against it.
That wasn't the bond that was being presented, that was the authority to go get the information to bring it once we had the final construction numbers, so.
So I know that we're not gonna have to pay the first bond payment till 28, did you say? Okay. So why is the brewery getting free rent because of the
Startup and just existing lease overhang from their existing location, because they want to get operational here as well and just kind of be dark in their other location.
The other thing is, does $3,600 a month for rent of that place seem a little light compared to what other people are paying on Main Street?
We wanted to help the brewery be successful.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Without asking? For 10 years. For 10 years.
And when is their rent gonna go up? How long is that lease? That long for?
It was a 10-year lease growing at 4% annually.
They're right across the street.
I can see them helping them out front. This thing should be adjusted to. Very more higher than it is. What else? So has there been any surveys done through the safety committee on increased traffic, parking, noise, studies on any of this stuff?
Nobody stops.
No.
Nobody stops for the stop.
That's a strong no.
Okay.
He didn't say it.
So we don't know, somebody's drinking at the bar all night long, and they're not gonna take a right-hand turn on the parking lot, go to Main Street and head to the flat cameras. They're gonna go through the town of Osseo and through the back roads to get out of town, to divert enforcement. I think that's a problem. How's it gonna affect the surrounding neighbors?
Yeah.
Are you gonna buy their house?
You've got from here to the Main Street, front doors of houses, right across from the bar and the dispensary.
Yeah, I mean, they'll have the same new ordinance as the entire city, so.
Maybe we could move it to 4th Street.
So after, if this goes through, have you considered any additional costs such as
I think 4th Street would be a good location.
maintenance, public works? Well, where's that come from? I mean, obviously, that's gonna increase all that.
No, I mean, how would it increase those things?
Well, public works, if you own the building, do we have to maintain the building? Is that going to public works?
Yeah, yeah.
Right, so there's increased people in town and more chances of DWIs. Do we have enough police officers to cover?
Yes.
Oh, God, do we ever?
No stop zones. Stop zones.
Okay. Are we going to get see what you wrote up here, a bunch of numbers, prospective numbers, hopeful numbers, maybe numbers. Are we going to get a financial readout of these numbers? I mean, you had mentioned that you wanted to make sure the community seen with the revenue in, revenue out, materials and stuff. I guess one of my big concerns with you guys is with the lack of inventory, how's that going to affect the numbers that you just put up here?
Yeah, so we have relationships, preferred partnerships with multiple vendors. You know, this is a statewide issue. They're working and trying to make it easier for testing facilities to come online. You know, hopefully there will be more coming online in the future, but we also are in talks with tribal nations who do not have the same testing requirements. So that would be supplemental inventory that we could have if that were to be an issue.
Okay. So multiple vendors in short supply, it doesn't mean how many vendors you have, it's still short supply. So that's going to bring those numbers down. All right, well, I guess in closing, I'm not asking the city to abandon this project. I just want to see more numbers, more how's this going to work. It was helpful to see some of those numbers up there, but I don't know such short notice that these are accurate and something that I can make a decision on. Not that you guys are going to make a decision on this. I just have to live with it, I guess. Because I don't drink and I don't smoke. And I don't use it for medical or anything else. So push come to shove, this thing goes bad. I don't feel like I should have to pay for something I don't use, even though it's a citywide project. My other question is this really the best use of public funds? You know, I think the juice sounds good, but is it worth the squeeze? You know, have the risks been carefully evaluated? I mean, I know you went through your numbers, but have they been, carefully evaluated and can come up with some solid numbers of this? Because everything is just perspective. Here's how we hope it's going to go. What's going to happen if it doesn't? It falls back on us. So that's the part that I don't know if I want to take a risk.
Okay.
Can you guys answer the question?
Yeah, I mean, we've vetted the numbers, and I mean, obviously Voyager is experienced in a lot of other markets, so they've got good solid data, and then a lot of the numbers were based on what Anoka their store's doing.
So we gotta know, how many successful dispensaries that you have that are pulling these kind of numbers? And how many dispensaries have you opened that aren't open anymore?
Our experiences in Missouri, we have 5 stores. No current dispensaries in Minnesota.
So this is a new adventure for you guys in this city.
Yeah, and it kind of is for everybody with the public-private partnership and just the municipal kind of store model.
So what was your decision to come to Osseo? What was your demographics based on?
Yeah, we've been in talks with them for a number of years. They've been a good partner. You know, we, I guess, developed a relationship with them, did a business case based on not just, you know, 81 there, but just kind of the proximity to the other suburbs and kind of the commuter traffic as well. And then based off of that, we moved forward with applying for an application.
All right, so in closing, I just want to say the people of Osseo deserve transparency, accountability, and responsible stewardship of our city's money and how it's going. And I'd like to see a little bit more of that in the future. So, thank you.
Marcus Lee. I want to start by saying it's awesome that you all turned out. Regardless if you're for or against, thank you. I also want to say thank you to Ms. Halligan, Mr. Anderson, Mr. Hurley, and Ms. Johnson, because you have been fed to lions. They're behind me, okay? And I do want to thank Councilman Torres, Councilman Schultz, if you prefer Dr. Schultz, Councilman Hartkopf, as well as Assistant City Administrator Rickman for being here and letting us come talk to you. You knew you were setting yourself up for what was hopefully civility and some not. So thank you. I have a couple questions. So my first question is more of a, can we get, as members of this town, can we get a hard copy of this presentation?
Yes.
Can we get the numbers given to us, sent to us, someplace not just on the website, or if it is on the website, that would be great, but someplace that we can get to it to look through it. Can we get that?
We can do both.
That would be great.
Or any combination. Yes.
That'd be fantastic, just because there was a lot there. And I'm an English teacher, and I'm really good with words, but numbers are hard for me. So I would like to see them again. Thank you. My next question, and I don't know if there is an answer for this, but I would be curious if there is. Was the Planning Commission involved with this?
No, it hasn't gone through the planning, no.
Okay, thank you. My next question.
Why?
Mr. Hurley, Ms. Johnson, I'm going to put you on the spot. To go back to your presentation, just to make sure I have my numbers clear, because again, English teacher. Your projection on the low end for us would have been 3.3 million for the year, meaning that there would be, in sales, which means Osseo would get 619,000 for the taxes, correct? And that's at an average of $50 a sale, is that correct? Okay, so help me out with my numbers here, because again, English teacher. To get to 3.3 million in an average of $50 a sale, we would have to make 66,000 sales in a year. If we break that down by months, 12 months, that means we have to do 5,500 sales per month, which means we need 181 sales per day. If the store is open from 10 to 9, let's say we open at 10 a.m., we close at 9 p.m., that's 16 sales per hour. Is that correct? Okay. So then my question for you is, I got a dispensary up that way, not a smoke shop, I got a dispensary that way. I got 2 dispensaries on either side of a gym, which is great because I can work out and then get high if I really want to. What is it about this experience, and any of you can answer this, what is it about this experience that you are going to provide unique value that I can't get anywhere else? Why are people, what is the experience they're going to get coming to this place that they're not going to say, I can grow it in my backyard, I can go to the dispensary over here. What makes this so unique it will be profitable? I would love to hear from any of you.
I'm not sure that by saying a unique experience, it'll be a positive experience, right? We can have preferred customers, we have preferred pricing, like I said earlier, competitive pricing. So since we are a municipal dispensary, we have the ability to make our own prices at a significantly lower rate than other dispensaries. And right there, that's a bonus. And like I said earlier, I would drive somewhere to do that. People do drive places to do that. So just by doing that, that's positive. We also will eventually have online ordering where you don't have to sit in line. You can walk in, pick up your order after getting your ID checked, and leave. It's not something that we're encouraging people to be there to use. It's illegal to do that. There's not going to be any smoking in the parking lot. There's not going to be anything like that. When you add in,
I'm not worried.
Okay. And when you add in the fact that we hopefully will be connected to a brewery, people can go to the brewery, spend time in the community, have a beer, go pick up their products and leave the area. They're not going to be smoking at the brewery. It's not legal to do that. Our store is going to be clean. It's going to have an updated look. It's not going to feel like you're going into a strip mall. It's not going to feel like you're walking into just a quick place to, that's dirty and dingy like a lot of dispensaries that I've been in. It's going to be clean, professional, and a great fit for this building.
I appreciate that answer, thank you. What I'm hearing, and please tell me if I'm correct, is that the opportunity of being able to pay less means that I'm willing to spend more on gas to go get it.
I mean, 5 minutes in the car.
That's fair. I'm asking.
Right.
Because remember, this is a town of 2,600 people. It might be nice, right?
Yeah.
I don't think all 2,600 can buy pot there.
Sure.
I mean, maybe, I don't know. What you do with your baby's your choice. But if we're talking, what I'm hearing is we're going to become dependent on outside traffic coming in for us.
Yeah.
Sure.
And so that's why I'm asking about that experience of why would I want to come from Brooklyn Park, for example, to here when there's a drive-through dispensary over there, for example.
Sure.
Where I don't have to get in my car. So that's why I was asking. So I appreciate you taking the time to answer that question.
Yep.
So thank you. It is my hope, and I will say this for myself, I love this town. I have spoken with many of you about how much I love this town. I'm still waiting to hear from 2 of you. I want a redevelopment. I want to see things coming here so that we don't have to pay more. But I want something that isn't a sort of Damocles over my head. Again, English teacher, I got to use these terms. I don't want a sort of Damocles over my head of if somehow this doesn't work, I'm on the hook. And that's what I'm asking. I don't want to speak for everybody else. That's just me. One guy who lives on 2nd Avenue. You can find me really easily. I live next to the fire chief. Okay? I appreciate your time.
I would just quickly answer one of the questions that was asked there too, that, I don't have a mic so I can pick it up. You asked about the planning commission and if this had gone through the planning commission. Sorry, this is.
Could you say that again, Ms. Bicker?
Yep, so one of the questions you asked was
Yes.
about, did this go through planning commission?
Yes.
So I want to point out that, yes, the retail zoning for cannabis sales did go through planning commission. It's just that it was quite a while ago. That was as the laws changed in Minnesota, that the city reacted and changed the zoning ordinance according to the laws of the state of Minnesota.
Do you mind if I ask, when you say a while ago, how long ago was that?
I don't have the date, but I can absolutely look up the dates of the meeting.
I would appreciate it, thank you.
The other thing I want to bring to your attention is that, the planning commission, they have to have a land use application, something that requires a land use application in order to go through the process. We have not had a land use application because of that zoning ordinance. Cannabis retail is already allowed. However, any bars or any place that serves alcohol does have to get a conditional use permit, and that is part of the process that will happen down the line with heavy rotation.
Thank you.
Yep.
Why didn't the mayor know that? Pass it down.
Hi, Faith Newman. I will not be making it light with jokes or being nice, but I'm not trying to be mean either. I just want to hold everyone accountable. So anyone that can answer it, unless I direct it to you, please just do, and I'll give you the time to do so. have the numbers been adjusted with inflation in the last 3 years? That would go to everybody that's in charge of numbers. For construction, for all the components to it, the metal, the piping, electric. Has that been adjusted for in the projections with inflation?
Are you saying of just the building itself?
Of the building and construction, everything to do with it, have the numbers been adjusted from the original projections to the current state of what things cost?
The numbers presented are current numbers.
Those are current?
Yeah.
Are those the ones that we made nice and round, or are they the ones that are like the exact number?
There are some numbers that have dollars and cents on them, and there are some numbers that are still allowances, but they're current numbers.
Is there a detailed list of what that actually goes into for the estimate? And I would just like to see something where we can look at what the difference is from where it was to where it is now, because then that would be looking at the projection for profit as well. Is there something like that where we can go back and forth, like something easy versus me digging through whatever stuff at City Hall?
Yeah, I don't know what has been presented before, but the project budget that I presented is based on the past few months of work.
Okay. How about for Thielen Green? Is yours updated too, or is that?
It's in my.
Everything's contained in that?
Yeah.
Okay. Was there an independent audit of the proposal that the city received from Voyageur and with regard to the bond? Looking at the data and the numbers, did we have an independent audit for the efficacy and accuracy of the numbers?
Voyageur's numbers?
Of Voyageur's numbers, anybody that's, I guess, involved with the bond and what you were applying for at that time, because.
Well, the bond has nothing to do with Voyageur. The bond is just for the improvements of the facility.
Wherever it is, do we have an independent audit when we look at these numbers and proposals?
Not an independent audit of what Voyageur presented, but looking at other municipal, or Anoka's been the only other municipal, but other dispensaries and historical national averages, yes, but not an outside audit.
To Voyageur, do you have an independent person that reviews your numbers when you give projections to potential clients?
I guess it's a case-by-case basis. We have had other cities who have partnered with third parties or independent organizations, I guess, if you will, to audit our numbers or business proposal. For example, we had one from, I think it's the CMDC here in Minnesota a couple months ago. So it kind of really depends on the city, but we don't have somebody, I guess, that really wouldn't be as effective, I guess, if we kind of pick that person. So no, it's really the city.
Okay. So the answer, to be clear on the way back, is that you don't have someone that you hire or usually partner with for independent audit, and then the cities can, on their own, case-by-case basis, but Osseo did not. Correct? Okay. Because the issue that I saw, and I'm sure there's more, but the one that stood out to me was a projection based off 2,700 people that were 21 plus, and that's about our level of population. And I know for a fact in my own life that at least one of those people is not 21 plus, and I assume that there's a fair amount when we're talking about growing families that aren't. So it just feels really wonky and misleading as far as that goes. So that it's just like, to me, that's probably the easiest one, even if you don't know numbers, to spot that out. And that's why I'm asking about the independent audit, because I don't want to be sold a golden egg or magic beans and then be the person that's paying for it when it doesn't grow or hatch or whatever.
I think in regards to that, the numbers are not just based on Osseo. I think you do a 5 or 10 minute drive radius and there's 160,000. What was the number on in the slide on the? So it's the capture rate within 5 or 10 minutes of the. Yeah.
I recall in the last presentation it said 2,700, 21 plus residents. Right, and that's the most up-to-date thing we have up till like right now, basically. And I don't have anything further than that. Maybe that's on me, but it's also not easily accessible to us or the people that would be paying for it. Are we on the hook, no matter what, for the money at this point, regardless of which avenue we go and regardless of what choices are made on Monday? That would be for the council and the mayor.
I guess at the end of the day, no. I mean, we could always sell the building to an investor and they can put the money in and do the brewery. I mean, we'd have to sell it cheap, so I mean, decision isn't done yet, but at the same time, it's, you know, we've all discussed, and I mean, it's an asset, you know, redevelopment of the city. You know, just putting, it's an opportunity to take a building that was failing and not an asset to the city anymore, and be able to revitalize it and revitalize the downtown with, you know, a couple of active uses.
Is there a version of the plan where the taxpayers are not the collateral if it does not succeed?
The only option would be to sell it.
Are the council members or the mayor opposed to selling it and just taking a small hit while we reevaluate what we want to do as a city?
You know, I think that's been part of the planning process that we've done over the last few years, evaluating numbers and the potential income possibilities from this opportunity to help offset the taxes.
I don't know if that answers my question. Can you repeat that or clarify it?
Yeah, I think by the investment in the building and the possible revenue that comes out of it from all the years of analysis of this, it makes sense to, you know, move it forward.
I understand your opinion. What I'm asking is, would you be willing to take a small hit? Let's say if you take the feedback from today as far as a vote, and then all your positive people can send in their positive stuff, the negative people can send in the negative, people that don't care either way can abstain. If you got that information back and it did say that the citizens would rather take a small hit as a city and wait before we invest into new ventures, would you listen to them?
I guess public feedback is always appreciated. I mean, I just think of other things that have happened in the city over the years. I mean, you look at the city bought a ton of parcels where 5 Central sat. I mean, city sat on those for years, where the gun club is. They sat on that. Where Roshan was, they sat on that. So there was, if we decided to do that, we could go spend a couple $1 million and buy some of these homes and sit them and tear them down like they were. So, I mean, to program that, I mean, if you look across the street, I mean, 5 Central, the total tax value of that entire block at that time, except for the apartments, you know, was about 800,000. And the city was sitting on a bunch of them. And then now it's $30 million. So it's redevelopment into the community. And the same way with Roshan, that parcel sat for years just vacant across from the post office. And be able to bring in a company like Roshan, build a building, and then, you know, again, increasing the tax base, increasing, you know, revenue for the city. And that's the way we look at something like this, is be able to invest in this, because there's not a lot of developers lining up to do anything in Osseo. Basically, we have to drag them in here and show them what the opportunity is and how special what we've got here.
I guess I would lean on like a contractor's opinion a little bit for their evaluation of what's worthy to build on. If there are that many hesitant, that's a little concerning. One more question on that part. If the brewery needs to be built, we're contractually obligated, and we don't want to deal with a lawsuit from that. If we were to just finish that and basically go hands off to the other side and lease that out, are the taxpayers still responsible for that?
Well, there'd have to be at least minimal improvements to improve their side of the building. So yes, there would be costs associated to get us there.
Are there, in the, I believe it was 4 options that you put on the slides, are there different evaluations out there for what we would end up paying for that compared to one to the next? Like, we know plan A is cannabis and brewery, and we know it's like estimated what we'd end up paying if we have to, if it doesn't have a wild success. Do we have that with the other ones and what it would break down to? Like, what if it's less money towards us? Like I'm saying, if you only were to do the brewery and that minimal stuff, what would we end up paying? Do we have the numbers for that? If we leave it alone, like say, sit on it and let it grow value, do we have the number of just being able to chill out for a while?
We don't have, we haven't revised that updated bid to say, just do this, stop here, and do nothing else. So, no.
I think that that would be of great value. I'd like to give opportunity to the council members to have their own opinion on if they would listen to the people that live in Osseo, if there was a vote and people were able to do it one way or another. And you can say positive or negative if you would listen. Even if you were opposed, would you listen if it came back all positive? If it was all negative, would you listen?
So I can say for myself personally, that with all the different conversations that I've had around the city, I would say probably 3 times as many people as I've heard from in the last 2 meetings are in favor of this. And, and here's the deal, okay? At the last meeting, I know for a fact there were 5 people sitting there that were not in disagreement. They're not in agreement with the bulk of the people presenting.
And that's okay.
And
what I'm asking
let me finish.
is a survey. Well, I can let you finish by answering my question first and then do your part.
Can I answer the question you asked me first? Is that okay?
It's a yes or no.
I mean, the answer is yes. I have significantly higher positive feedback than negative feedback regarding this project.
Because you don't respond.
And just because you don't talk to the people that I talk to, quite frankly, the context and the tone of these meetings prohibits people from wanting to step up and identify themselves.
And that's the benefit of a survey, I would think. And because, like, you know, I could be out here lying. I could be, like, really pro-cannabis or pro, whatever, and lying on the mic. But the anonymous survey would really, bolster people, give them the confidence to say what they really want to say. And then you'd have the opportunity to listen. Like you said, you got all those people. I'm not saying you don't. What I'm asking is, would you listen to the majority, whatever that means?
His daughter, her husband. His daughter, her husband.
How many times do we do, I've lived here since I was 13, I've only been a homeowner for the last 3 years. How often is there a vote when it comes to a citywide initiative, if we're going to invest in a property or whatever it is, how often do you send out a survey and then go with the majority?
I guess basically it's a representative government. You elect people that hope to have the best interest of what the city is in the community. I mean, projects would never get done if there's a survey and just, so like next street project, is everybody gonna weigh in which street we need to do? I mean, at what point do you stop that?
I think, it could definitely be based off of how much money it would cost or maybe locality and impact. I think that there's definitely ways to evaluate that, and we can definitely talk about that whenever.
Yeah, I guess at the same token, if we put a survey out and people said tear down the water tower and we did, what would happen there?
Then that would be the majority.
Like, okay, that's fine.
That's democracy. Some people would be upset and some people wouldn't. It's the majority. That's how you guys got your spots, and that's what we roll with. We're not out here
And that's what I think Councilmember Schultz was trying to explain is from the feedback that we've gotten, the majority of the people that we have spoken with are in favor of this.
But that's a little bit of bias, just the same bias as us showing up, it's the same bias of who speaks to you. You know what I'm saying? It's a little bit where you're at in an echo chamber.
I wouldn't call it an echo chamber. When we decide to take these roles, we open ourselves up to people communicating with us about things. And we don't have the ability to share every single conversation we have, whether it's formal or informal. The reality of it is that there's not been a single election that 100% of the people have voted for any of us sitting here.
Right.
Okay? And
there won't be.
I've been true to myself for 4 terms. Still can't believe I've got elected 4 times, but I have. I know. But I took it on the chin to represent the people of this community, whether you agree with me or not. In each of these elections, there were more people that agreed with me and voted me in. So not only do I have to utilize that, but I also listen to every single person that talks to me. Okay? And on this particular subject, when it comes to reaching out via email, I've had 2. 2 people have reached out to me via email. Okay. The bulk of the negativity I've heard here has been in this room or the one at the public hearing before.
Yeah.
I tell you, I stand fast in the fact that I've had significantly higher positive than I have negative.
I guess everybody in this room needs to email you. What's your email address?
Okay, so Mr. Harkov for council, and then for us.
Okay, thank you. I'll be sending an email tomorrow.
Is he awake?
Positive or negative, I don't care. Just
I
wanna know.
listed all the people that contact me. I've had 2 emails and 1 phone call.
Not in a contact. This is a hypothetical. If you were to do the survey that people are asking for, and you got majority one way or the other, positive or negative, would you go with the residents of Osseo for whatever they favor? And this is very limited to just this matter.
Well, at this point, we go with what we've heard so far, and there's no survey out there. We're listening to people. They got my phone number, they got my email, and I go on people that contact me.
Okay, so you're unwilling to give an answer in a situation where there would be a survey, correct? You did not. Mr. Torres?
So when we're talking about a survey, right? Okay, time out. We're talking about a survey, and we're talking about the type of survey that you're referring to, where the council makes a decision based on the outcome of that survey.
That's correct. Would you?
You're talking about a referendum.
Yeah. I don't really care about the semantics, and
well,
maybe you're correct.
There is a semantic reason to use this, or there's a reason to use the semantics.
Okay.
A survey is something that's informal. It can be skewed. There is no oversight to it. So we could put something up. In fact, this council, when I first came on, I don't remember the particular issues, but there were a couple of issues where that idea of having something online and doing a poll or doing a survey was floated. And I said, it's great, the intent to do that, the outcome, how do you trust it? We live in a society that, for whatever stupid reason, we don't even believe votes anymore, let alone surveys. So this isn't even a hypothetical. We put a survey up, put it up online. How many people are going to say they couldn't find it? How many people are going to say, oh, well, that outcome's not right. Somebody voted 6 times in it. So while I laud the question, it's absolutely right. Would I follow a survey? Honest answer, no. I wouldn't follow a survey. If something comes to a referendum, absolutely, because that is the will of the people. I took a lot of heat for that because I said somebody denied one person, not the group. I want to make that real clear because I didn't make that clear last time. One person made a decision, and then ultimately a whole bunch of legislators who weren't even in the towns that were asking for that sales tax decided for towns that the legislature took the whole thing away from everybody. That is where I'm talking about the difference, the semantics of a referendum versus a survey. If there was a referendum, there was put to a public vote, and people said no. There was one more person that said no. The people have spoken. To Mayor Poppy's point, running a $4 million a year city, you can have town halls, you can do what we're doing now. I've had actually conversations just within the last week with a couple of folks and have said, yes, can we do better in communicating? Absolutely. And I think we are going to see the city do better because it's now eyes wide open. But the question begs kind of, well, if I say that I'm not going to support the will of the people if it's put to a poll online, okay, hold me accountable for that. But to Mayor Poppy's point, this is elected representative government. And the challenge, excuse me, I am getting a little dry mouth, which explains the polar pop every week, right? So it's not a trick question, but it's not a straightforward yes or no question because there's too many dynamics to it. Yes, should we ask the people what they think? We're doing that right now. The last council meeting, I expressed my concerns at the last council meeting. I also learned a very, very important lesson. What I learned is the people that I trust, which are the folks sitting up here, the staff that we all rely on, I threw them under the bus. Because instead of taking my concerns offline, which, by the way, I'm going to do tonight, I have heard everything. And that's fine, call me stupid, I don't care, I've been called a hell of a lot worse. Well, it's fine. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. And sometimes, yeah, I am stupid. Okay, I'm human, as we all are. But I will tell you tonight, if anybody's wondering, and I'm sure there's a number of people out there wondering, Torres hasn't said anything. Oh, is he ducking it? Is he trying to get out of it? No, I'm taking it all in. I've got 5 pages of notes so far. I don't write stuff down just to look busy. These are actual notes. I will look back at them. I will talk as much as I can to my fellow council members, but I have to do that through the administration. Because I can't leave tonight and get together with these guys and say, okay, here, what do you think? You heard this, you heard this? No, the system doesn't work like that. It's called open meeting violation. So using the inherent inefficiency that's built into this process, I am going to take these notes. I have heard the concerns. I've hoped that I have written down every concern. There are some genuine concerns. Those concerns I've already started to bring forward. So yeah, super long lawyer answer, that's the answer. You asked yes or no, no, wouldn't do a poll. Referendum, sure.
Okay.
But I do want everyone to know, I have heard, and I will continue the conversation, and I will also raise my concerns as well as the things that I've heard tonight, because I also learned some positive things tonight that I wasn't aware of, that are positive for this project. So I'll let it go at that, but thank you.
Few things. I am actually an attorney, so I guess these are attorney questions then. And when I'm asking them, I'm not trying to put in extra facts. I understand that you're trying to fill in because it's general, but I didn't mean a poll online. I didn't mean going online. There's a lot of people that don't have internet and don't have computers or wouldn't know how to get to it, and we'd have to ensure that. I, in my head, pictured a mailer, but that wasn't what I was trying to get into. What I basically mean is, we listen to the majority, and I know there's the ghosts in here that have the positive support. That's fine. I just want to make sure that you actually care about if there's an opportunity for everybody that they're asking for, that everyone in here, positive or negative, is asking for, that you would listen to them, actually listen. And as far as reaching out to you, that's great. I'm so glad people are doing that. I want to know more about your outreach too. Like that's what we need. It's not that we have to come beseech you to do things or to know how to do all that. Not everyone does. But y'all know who we are. We are the people that live here. You can find us at our houses. Like, send out a mailer, leave something at my house, I'll call you. We don't know how to do everything. Like, that's not a general thing, and not everybody can get here at night. They can't do that. I know there's replay, there's everything, but it just sounds like you guys got a lot on your chest, so I'd love the opportunity to hear more about it at a different time. We are talking about these taxes going up again, and you're talking about growing families. One second. I bought my house here 3 years ago based off of one income to make sure I would never go homeless. In the time the taxes got gone up, we need 2 incomes, meaning my baby has to go to daycare and I have to go to work. I just hate to think of all the eviction notices because people that have money don't give a damn. The people that don't live here and have no plans to be here anymore don't give a F. Keep it cute for the cameras, but you know what I'm saying. Like, this is not, you're playing with their lives. I know you're talking about having feelings and people being respectful and all of that, but obviously this means a lot more than this is worth. You guys have our lives in your hands. $350 a month might not sound like much to you. That's my difference of having a house. The food costs so much, everything costs so much. Don't do this. Like, I don't mean to cry, but I'm thinking about all the people on fixed incomes. I'm thinking about myself. I'm thinking about all the new families that are stuck here that got in at the worst time for freaking mortgages and the housing costs. Just think about the little guys. Seriously, I know you guys have all all the power, but we don't. Like, if you're not listening to us, then we have none. Unless we email you, unless we contact you, like, please just listen to us, okay?
Hi. Oh, hello. Cool. I'm Tia Donovan. I've talked with many of the council members before. I appreciate everyone's time here tonight. I think I want to start out, I guess, just by sharing some information, and then I'll ask a couple of questions. One, I'm honestly not upset by the city investing money in itself. I know that that's a large concern, is fiscal responsibility, and I do understand where people are coming from, especially with property taxes. I get it. Personally, I think investing in the city is a good choice. I think investing in properties is a good choice. I think improving, the functionality of Osseo is a good choice. I'm not even opposed to a cannabis shop. Before I was pregnant, before I had a baby, I'm like, yeah, I have THC seltzers. I would get them at top 10, everything like that. I think that my current concern with this is the amount of money that we could be on the look for, and I know it's all preliminary. Like the numbers that you shared tonight, it sounds like those are fairly set with the contingencies and everything like that. But I think a couple of my concern points are just how this information has been kind of building, because I know I've talked with some of you about things like this, or even this project itself, over the course of the last couple of years. And I just don't know that everyone's had the same opportunity to be able to do so and to be able to share. And so I think, I don't know how to improve that. I know that there's a lot right now of people coming to town halls, of people coming to meetings, and I don't know if we honestly need to make them more regular. I don't know what it looks like moving forward. I think that we, as a society, as a community, just want more face time, honestly, with the people that we've elected. And so however that looks, whatever that looks like, where people, like there can be more of a dialogue, I think is just really beneficial. So I guess that's not really a question, but I'm like, I would love if you guys would have ideas, or like if you could talk amongst yourselves and just come with ideas at a later time for how there can be more conversation. So it doesn't get to this boiling point where we're, in a community center, very elevated emotionally. And then I think my one question would be for over here. I think my concern comes from something you said during your presentation, where it was like, we set a budget and then the city just we manage it, we set it. And without an audit, I think that that's where my concern is. So I don't know if that's for you or for you guys, but would there be an audit of the budget that they're proposing year over year, just to make sure that it makes sense and everything? I guess that'd be my main question.
Yeah, so we would put forth an annual budget. The city would audit it, and it's my understanding that there also is a finance position that is also going to be overseeing part of that budget as well. But yeah, we'd be more than open to having that audited by whoever.
And then is there a plan to audit the annual budget that they're sharing and everything?
Yeah, that's part of the new finance director's position.
Okay.
To be able to be more involved in that. And then we get audited by, and we have to report it every year anyway.
And I would just add, our budget is a recommendation. We will work with the city to build that together. What we say is not the end all be all. We'll be working with the city representatives and staff to make sure our budget set forth is appropriate.
And yeah, that's kind of just what I want to make sure, because I know a lot of people are very concerned about the financial impact. And right now it is just hypothetical numbers of revenue and everything like that. And so the thought, like with these, because you were saying like monthly reports of what that looks like, when do you think you would anticipate a profit? Just, I've worked at like startups and first-time restaurants and like similar things, right? Obviously not the same, but when would you anticipate that there would be revenue coming for the city?
Yeah, and not having to pay that bond back for the first year will be profitable year one. I mean, there will be no rents, no expenses outside of typical operating expenses, so.
Margaret Dunbar, I appreciate your time tonight, and I also appreciate you organizing this hearing so that way, like Councilman Torres, we can take in all the information and receive answers to our questions. And I appreciate the many questions that have been answered, but there are still questions that remain. And I know when I spoke at the meeting last time, I had concerns about the scenario planning and what that would look like in different cases. So I have a couple of questions related to that. I'm a numbers person. I like seeing that. I like understanding the marketing analysis that was done. I'm a marketing executive by background. So I do have a follow-up question on my partner had asked about the experience and the value proposition that you're going to provide. What competitor analysis have you done so that way you can compare and provide a unique value proposition in comparison to the dispensaries, the private dispensaries that are already in operations and that are providing a quality professional experience here in town? So what is that competitor analysis? What did that look like?
Sure, yeah. First and foremost, we use our professional background in other states, but as far as local competition and competitor analysis, that's been a little bit of a moving target as, licensing was supposed to be rolled out in 2024. That was delayed a full year. The first licenses weren't rolled out until this last fall. And at the turn of 2026, there was just under 50 open dispensaries. Since then, there's about 145. So, competition is fluid. That's not to say that there isn't some great learnings that we can take from competitors, whether it's the national brands like Rise or Green Goods, but there also are other, smaller shops, localized shops that do good things, so you can always kind of improve on that.
So a follow-up question, have you done a competitor analysis in 2026?
Can you define, the competitor analysis?
Have you examined the dispensaries that are already in operation in Osseo, the drive-in in Brooklyn Park, and the municipal that's available in Anoka? Have you looked in the 15-mile radius in which you're operating and looked at the competitors?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, all right. Another question, and maybe you can answer this too. What will be the schedule for updated pro formas leading up to the opening of the dispensary? Do you have plans to continue to update the pro forma?
That has not been discussed, but that's something we can talk with council about.
Okay. All right. This question is maybe more for the council and potentially Assistant Bickerman. I had asked previously about the worst case scenario. I know there's been variations of this question already asked, but I don't have clarity around this. And I've heard several different things. The website indicates that residents this will not impact property taxes. I've also had discussions with Councilman Cook. Unfortunately, wasn't able to meet with you, Councilman Torres, though I appreciate that. And Councilman Cook had also indicated that there are backup plans being considered. There are other funds where residents wouldn't be seeing an increase in property tax. So my question to you is, what plans, what backup scenarios are in place? Exactly what are you looking at if the worst case scenario happens? The dispensary isn't profitable and they can't pay for the bond from revenue. It's not coming in. So in that worst case scenario, you're not making any money from the dispensary. Where are you pulling funds from that isn't an increase in property taxes?
Well, if you look at the current debt servicing, we've got 4 issues that'll be rolling off. You've got 5 Central coming on down, so you've got that additional increase. You've got 4 debt issues that are just over, it's like $330,000 a year. By 31, that'll be about $32,000 a year. And then also during that same time period, in 30, I think it is, that Real Life gets out of its TIF district, and that'll do about $120,000 a year on current value.
So is that $350,000 a year number that you had for the ultimate, like the highest that you would be paying back on the bond each year, is it based on those potential numbers, that those pockets of funds, as it were, where you could pull from if the worst case scenario occurs?
No, that number was based on projected revenues to allow enough to be covered by the bond payment. I mean, the revenues from the store to cover that, where you could even cut the numbers in half and they would still roughly cover the bond payment. And that'd be a pretty failing store if those revenue numbers were in half. Be able to cover that, and then you'd have, yeah, I mean, that wasn't part of it. It was just the delta of cutting the numbers in half and also having profitability that can be used to offset, taxes or pay for other things rather than, raising taxes.
So just to make sure I'm clear on this, is there a scenario, with the worst case scenario, is there any potential for residents to be on hook or through property taxes paying back the bond?
I guess if everything blew up, yes.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Things would be a lot worse if that's the actual case, but yes.
Okay, okay. And then last question. I appreciate good communications, and I appreciate the open communications tonight. Could you provide clarity for the residents on what will take place exactly regarding the resolution on Monday night's meeting? Meaning, I've heard, just in speaking with some other residents, and looking forward to tonight's meeting and hearing answers. We know that the resolution that had been tabled at the last meeting is coming up again. What does that look like? What actions do you have in front of you with regard to that resolution Monday night? And what are the next steps in this process?
The resolution.
So what's happening after tonight?
Yeah, so what the resolution is on Monday night is just to authorize our elders to go out and get quotes for us to receive on this project. It'll probably be in that $2.5 to $3 million range, and then be able to bring those forward. So all it is on Monday is the authorization to go out. I mean, and then from that point, then they'd have to come back to council for approval for the next step.
With, just to ask a follow-up, so with that, at Monday night's meeting with regard to the resolution, will you also be considering whether or not you are going forward with that resolution, or whether you're tabling it indefinitely, or you're saying no?
No, there's still an opportunity to say no to the proposals we get, but that's just authorizing to go get them.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Just to make sure I clarify. Okay. Those are all my questions. Again, I appreciate your time. I'm really looking forward to being able to see the presentation so I can see the numbers, because I don't know about you all, but I'm at the age now where I need readers, and that was really tiny. So thank you again for your time. And I would just encourage my fellow residents to continue reaching out and communicating. Again, appreciate when you're making the time to meet with us and making the time tonight, so thank you.
Hello, my name is Parker Arundel. I am 13 years old and I live on 4th Avenue. I came here to want to just give my opinion and not really debate on why we should not put any marijuana store no matter how much you make it. I know that I am only 13. I please hope you guys understand what I'm trying to say. I think that we should not put the shop in because overall any type of smoking or drugs is not good for anyone. As a dear student winner at Elm Creek Elementary School, I know a pretty good amount about this, so here's my opinion. We want to make Osseo a nice place, not a smoky, smelling place, smelling like marijuana. Remember, Osseo used to be a small place, and we liked it like that. We hopefully still do. Anyways, I remember when I was little, Osseo didn't have so many shops, and I liked it that way. But now, in the year 2026, it's not looking so great. It's crowded with lots of stores and smoke shops. I also have to say what is when I go on walks in Osseo and in any other places, in general, I see smokers and people smoking weed and marijuana. I get scared a lot. I don't try to be mean, but when we're walking by, I always hold my breath because I'm always scared that I could get addicted by inhaling it, even though that's not really possible. But still, when I smell that, I can smell it from usually 12 blocks away, not even near the store, and I can still smell it. We don't need that shop, no matter how hard you try to persuade us to agree, make this shop suitable and safe and nice for people inside and outside. It doesn't matter, we don't need this at all. Instead of that, we could have a clothing store or a gym that is useful, that people actually use. That's all I have to say, thank you.
Nice job. We're 500 Third Avenue Northwest. I've been in Osseo for about 37 years now. My house is paid for. Yeah, and I've talked with other people I work with, and their house values went up too, and they still pay way less in taxes than I do for same comparable housing. So I'm not buying the argument. I could mention some of the decisions that the city council has made over the years that I don't agree with and have ended up costing me money. When I bought my house, it had a dirt alley, and I was perfectly happy with that. Apparently, I needed to have a cement alley whether I asked for it or not. It's all done. That's all the water under the dam at this point. Last meeting, several people presented some pretty solid research numbers that they've looked at. I've looked at them. I don't have my notes. I came straight from work. I didn't have time to stop because this meeting was ongoing. So unfortunately, I can't point to some of the things that I was looking at that seemed troubling. There were things that seemed troubling. I buy that we don't do an op-rule, we're not going to do surveys, and I appreciate the points you're making. It would be a referendum would be a thing, survey is not a thing. Fine, I agree with you. Over the years, like I said, I've seen these things go on where it feels like financial mismanagement, but our wise elders have decided that we need this. Okay, I'll buy that too. Right now, you're telling us that even though people are raising concerns, they're showing you figures, even though I don't see you're supporting people here, maybe somebody is supporting. That's fine too. I'd like to ask, as a resident that feels like you think we have monopoly money that we just keep handing over, you've got no skin in the game. If the establishment fails to meet its goals and they don't have money, if they fail outright, you just, darn, we're gonna have to raise taxes. I would ask, if you end up raising taxes, will a lot of you resign, never to darken our financial doorstep again?
Hi, my name is Cindy Haupt-Cooper. I live at 224 7th Street Northeast. Before I get started with what I prepared to say, I just have a quick question about community engagement. I've heard a lot about citizens not reaching out to you, and I'm just wondering, for each of you that are here as far as city council and mayor, outside of election years, outside of like your standard social situations or community events, are any of you going out in particular to parts of the city that are maybe more likely to have residents that don't have internet access or aren't computer savvy or are more economically impacted and don't have the time to engage politically? Are you going out and door knocking and talking to citizens? Are you reaching out to us outside of election years?
Please answer the question.
Answer the question. Consider engaging with residents, like reaching out to residents rather than waiting to hear from us.
So yes.
Microphone.
Yes, on the 20th of this month, I've already reserved this room to do a listening session. So yes. And that's not applauding myself or putting anybody else, and they should be doing the same thing. That was a unilateral decision that I made.
Thank you.
Now, fun fact about me, I was in high school theater. I was a high school theater diva. One of my favorite roles was playing Lady McKechnie in The Music Man. If you're not familiar with the musical, the plot goes something like this. Harold Hill, a con man, rolls into River City, Iowa, promising to reform the youth of the town by forming a boys band. His plan to skip town with the instrument money is ultimately foiled when he falls in love with the town librarian. I'm also a Simpsons fan, and one of my favorite episodes of all time is season 4, episode 12, Marge versus the Monorail. The episode is a send-up of The Music Man. In it, Lyle Langley comes to town to swindle citizens into spending city funds on a faulty monorail system. Every time I hear dispensary here in Osseo, the earworm starts whispering, monorail. Things don't add up. I opt to believe that no one elected or employed by the city is incompetent enough to have completely failed it doing independent research before moving forward. If it isn't incompetent, I came to the conclusion that someone on city council or in city leadership is up to no good. So my cues for this Q&A, whose idea was this? Who is it? Whose drinking buddy or next door neighbor up at the cabin is benefiting financially from steering Osseo in this direction? Who on the city council has a friend or family member in the chain of ownership or investment with Vogageur or its parent company of a larger cannabis business? Who brought it forward? Who stands to benefit? Who said we don't need to do our own due diligence and check the accuracy of Voyager's numbers? Who's continuing to push this bad investment forward despite the clear risks to taxpayers? Are they willing to do this because they're no longer invested in the city and will be long gone before the monorail crashes, leaving the rest of us to pay back $4 million with interest? Have all of you really fallen for the monorail pitch? Something else has got to be going on because somehow corruption is easier to swallow than the alternative of failing the citizens of Osseo. What our city needs is fiscal responsibility, accountability, and transparency, not poorly researched get-rich-quick schemes that are destined to fail. We need to get our financial house in order by hiring and spending more responsibly. Yes, let's increase revenue, but in a well-researched manner with an eye towards decreasing taxes for residents and improving or adding services our citizens actually want. Let's find ways to entice Osseo middle and high school students and their families to stay in town and spend money here after the bell rings. Let's attract and boost businesses that appeal to the young families buying homes here, instead of a constant stream of businesses selling drugs, alcohol, and tobacco.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Nice.
Hello, I'm Perry Keem. I'm a numbers nerd, so that's what I'm gonna ask about. I'll start with Voyager. With the stores that you currently operate, how are they doing? Are they profitable? And I know you kind of touched on the state dynamics a little bit, but how does that compare with what you're operating now and how that could be different here?
All the stores that we worked with were out of state. We don't currently operate any dispensaries in Minnesota.
I know, I'm asking about the ones that you operate.
Good. I guess what was the question?
And like, how would that compare with, you know, are you making your model out of what you said, Missouri, right?
Yeah.
So was your model kind of based off the Missouri?
Yeah, it was informed by Missouri, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that's, yes, and then, you know, what the numbers are available in Minnesota as well, whether that's, you know, statewide, average order, average, you know, repeat transactions per month, things like that. Yeah, you know, all markets are kind of unique, so yeah, kind of a combination of both.
And I know, looking at your projections from 24 to, you know, that you did back in 24, and then you updated them just a few weeks ago. Does that, or that I just saw a few weeks ago, sorry. Did that consider the fact that we now have THC drinks in every liquor store and brewery, and we have 2 smoke shops that sell THC oils and products as well? And how do you see that affecting the business? Because back in 24, that really wasn't a big business.
Yeah, I mean, it was around in 2024, but it does have some, you know, impact, and it's kind of a end of the aisle. I think people kind of buy those as a, what's the word I'm looking for? Spur of the moment kind of thing. When they go to stores, they don't go out of their way as much as they do when they go to dispensaries or for specific products. We haven't seen them to be a huge percentage of, you know, sales in dispensaries, but you know, that's not to say that they don't do well in liquor stores and, you know, Target for that matter. But yeah, it's kind of a different thing. But yeah, there's a little bit of an impact, but that, you know, was in our model.
And I would just add on to that, you know, similar to liquor stores, right? There's liquor stores all over the metro, right? Just because there's a handful of dispensaries and places that also sell THC beverages doesn't mean that we consider or will see a significant decrease in our projections, right? Like it's not an issue in that sense. People are going to continue to go purchase these products over time.
For the I guess when I look at, so you're tearing off the roof and putting on a flat roof.
Speak into the microphone, please.
Sorry, I'm little, I don't like touching it. Tearing off the mansard roof to put on a flat roof, that screams dollar signs to me. And so some of those things, are we value engineering, I guess? Or was the roof just that bad, it had to come off anyway? Just kind of looking at the total project cost and how we came there.
The mansard roof is just the decorative part at the upper portion of the wall. The actual roof to the building is going to stay.
Okay, so
it's just that
I haven't been over
decorative
there,
portion.
so
Yep.
thank you.
So the rest stays.
Okay, I get that. You say you're painting the stucco, and from my background, painting stucco is a giant no-no. It tends to degrade the stucco over time, water issues, because stucco is not designed to be painted. So are you truly meaning paint, or are you meaning a stucco-specific product to change the color?
We're going to paint the building. Okay. And there will have to be continued maintenance through the history of the building.
Because we have a building at one of our parks where they painted the stucco, and it since has degraded due to water issues without that stucco being able to paint. So I don't want to see that happen again. And then on to the council or any money people. So last time I spoke at the hearing, I was talking a lot about a return on investment. So I'd like to revisit that because I didn't see any of that in this projection. So assuming we don't go for the full 4 million, I reran numbers at 3 million based on the hearing. And what I'm seeing is still, if we're paying $350,000 a year, we're still at a ROI of like 10 years. If we put 100% of the profits that are projected into our bond payment, it'll still take 5 years. And the city of Wayzata turned down the opportunity because they said 5 years is too long. So I'm wondering if you've done a better ROI than I have with your financial people and what you have found for that to be.
Yeah, because looking at it, you know, by that 350 with that is be able to have the delta of that to be able to reinvest in other things with the city, or at the end of the day, you know, help lower the levy like we did last year. It was down 2%, but be people forget about that.
And I'm not feeling mad, I'm just wondering about the ROI on this one. Because I know for a business, most people starting a new business, if they see an ROI of 5 years, that's not a good idea. Or 10 years, depending on how we look at projections. I mean, we have their projections, but I know a lot of us are fearful that they'll come in lower. But with their projections, 5-year ROI, am I wrong, am I right? Is that acceptable to you?
I mean, it's, you know, I guess that's one way to look at it. I mean, we looked at it as, you know, being able to pay for the bond and have excess funds to be able to, you know, use for other resources within the city. I mean, then be able to then, you could chunk payments down on that and, you know, write it down quicker, but then it's profitable after that.
So is that your intent then to just pay the minimum payment, or are you looking to pay it off as fast as possible?
Well, I think using, you know, that excess funds to help write down the taxes along with paying that bond down. I mean, we could help to lower the taxes by doing this and just pay the bond off, but at the same time be able to pay the bond off and then use the revenue offset other, you know, expenses within the city.
In my opinion, I hate loans. I don't have loans. But I know with the fear of the residents getting stuck with that loan, should this business not work out, I guess that would be my preference, that we pay that off as fast as possible in 5 years, because if we don't, we're stuck with that tax bill if it fails in 5 years. That's just my opinion. You mentioned an option to consider selling the building and feeling that you would get significantly less money for it in its current state. I haven't been in the building, but I know that you basically have it construction ready. You've demoed it, you've abated it, you've done all the studies on it, so you've actually taken costs off a future builder. Do you know how much that building could potentially sell for if you chose that option you presented?
I mean, we haven't done our market evaluation yet, but be significantly less than that would be my guess.
And I'm asking this mostly because you presented that option. How much in the hole would we be outside of the building? You know, let's say we actually got our money back on the building, but how much would we be in the hole for all the work that we've done there already? And that's professional services, demo, everything.
I can pull up over, Jennifer, did you have the full budget on your slide, or was it just?
No, I did not have it on the slide.
Okay. Right now, our demo bill is $56,000. And then the cost of the building, and then obviously we have, you know, professionals that we're working with who we have to pay invoices to too. But those are all written into that 2.6 total amount.
But if we chose your option to abandon the building right now, we would owe.
So, Mr. Hurley, hi, nice to meet you. Regarding your forecast sales that had 25 to 60, you're saying it should have been year 1, year 2, just so I know that. Okay. Even if that is the case, you're still looking at an average of about 36 million per month with those estimates, and we're still less than half of that. So I guess it's not really apples and oranges. We are looking at real data versus your forecast, which was wrong. But now that I know that, I can make an adjustment.
I'm curious, as I'm sure you are as well, we'll see the end of the year forecast for the state.
By the end of the year, based on the trends and I don't think I have my graph here with the regression. Using the polynomial trend line, you were looking at maybe upwards of maybe getting to 60 million per month by the end of the year. So we're still.
We will see, I think year to date, the compounding growth rate by month is about 10%. So we
In
will see.
Minnesota?
Yeah, so we will see by the end of the year.
No, I know, we'll see, I'm just saying, you know, your forecast did not match what actual sales are doing. And I thought that was important for everybody to know. And it's not just from the OCM. Yeah, this is data that's publicly available, any of it can find it. My purpose for bringing it forward was because I wanted another set of eyes. So I guess my first question, I'm going to start with Voyageur. Are you still a division of Modern Climate? You weren't?
We work with Modern Climate.
When you introduced yourself in St. Anthony, you introduced yourself as a division of Modern Climate. That has changed?
We never were a division, so I don't know. No.
Okay. But you're working with Modern Climate? Is that your partnering for your Missouri project?
No, Modern Climate's a Minneapolis-based ad agency that we've done projects with.
Right, and who's your Minneapolis or your Missouri? Where is that coming from? Where is your experience in Missouri? Does Vogageur have bases?
Vogageur was created in 2023 just for the specific purpose for municipal dispensaries. So it's a standalone entity.
In Minnesota or in Missouri?
Minnesota. We're the only state that does municipal liquor and also municipal dispensaries.
Yes, I'm aware of that. So who is your Missouri model expertise?
Say again?
Where does your Missouri expertise come from?
Yeah, we worked with, again, we had 5 stores in Missouri, sold those in March 2025.
Hold on, you just said Vogageur was just created.
This is my own personal experience. I worked with 5 stores in Missouri. Vogageur was created as kind of a purpose-built organization to help municipalities launch dispensaries.
So, were you working with Jack Mitchell, Kansas City? Or is that
For what?
for any of your Missouri models stuff? I'm just trying to figure out the business association.
We are in the Minnesota Marijuana Association, and I believe he's a member of that, so we kind of are in the same industry groups.
Okay, that clears it up, thank you. Why did you choose the Missouri model for Minnesota?
As in
basing all of this, your projections, whatnot, why did you use the Missouri model for a Minnesota project?
Yeah, that maybe could have been a miscategorization. Use our experience in Missouri for things like real store data, just kind of applicable things like, repeat visitors, average order value, just kind of things that we use as benchmarks. As Minnesota was a new market, we used whatever data was available, but as I'm sure you know, when you're forecasting into a new industry, a new market, you kind of have to use the best available benchmarks that you have. And at that time, our real store data was Missouri, so that was the closest we could.
So, the Missouri regulatory structure is 180 degrees opposite of Minnesota regulatory structure. That's where my concern is coming in. Missouri has vertical integration, more or less, for the large-scale commercial operators, meaning that large corporate operators can hold multiple licenses, right? So essentially what happened in Missouri, correct me if I'm wrong, because you have a cap of 214 licenses for dispensaries and a cap of under 90 cultivation facilities, that framework matched supply with demand pretty well. I mean, I think Missouri did a great job. right? That structure is a protectionist market. Minnesota chose to do an anti-monopoly market. So we're 180 degrees opposite regulatory in Minnesota. What happened in Missouri, because of that protectionist market, you have large corporations that are consolidating and basically driving out competition. So you have a few operators in there. Where is that? I'm skipping questions because you helped answer something already. So yeah, you have Missouri market, because it was protectionist, led to massive corporate consolidation. The corporate operators could have up to 5 dispensaries and up to 3 cultivation plants. That means they are essentially seed to store in Missouri. That consolidation basically helped to eliminate market competition. All the big companies floating to the top, all the little guys driving out. The people with the big money, if they didn't get the license through the lottery, they would just buy it from somebody who did. So, in addition to the monopoly, the protectionist market, the recreational sales tax is just 6% in Missouri, compared to 15% here. So that prevented the price compression that we're seeing in every other state, right? Because you have that protectionist market. Minnesota doesn't have that. So Minnesota legislation, the regulatory framework for this, means that large-scale cultivators like Highway 35, who is half owned by Modern Climate, John Hyduk and Jack Mitchell are co-founders, co-owners of Highway 35, which I'm assuming is going to be one of your preferred suppliers. Yes? Maybe? Not sure?
What's the question?
Is Highway 35 LLC in Grand Rapids, Minnesota, one of your preferred suppliers?
Highway 35 is the campus people.
Microphone. Yeah, microphone.
Microphone,
please.
His answer was yes.
No, it was not. Highway 35 is kind of the infrastructure. It's a 400,000 square foot development up in Grand Rapids. There'll be a handful of brands operating out of there. We plan to partner with some of the brands out of there, yes.
Right. So his answer was
Yes. Yes.
pretty much. By the way, none of this is an accusation. I turn into clinical auditor mode, which comes across kind of harsh to me sometimes. I don't mean that. So anyway, back to the protectionist market. That market prevented Missouri from going through the cannabis price compression that Forbes, if you remember from our last meeting, outlined so excruciatingly well. So it leaves me to wonder why on earth you would assume that the Minnesota market would be anything like the Missouri market. And why you would base forecast on Missouri when we should have been looking to Rise, for example, who bought out Minnesota, the 1-2 medical cannabis seed to store that was allowed in Minnesota. Why did you choose Missouri as a market? It does not seem like an appropriate analog to me.
Yeah, so we didn't choose Missouri as like a model or a market. We used it as a benchmark. At our presentation tonight, we kind of said that there's Michigan, and then there's Missouri and Minnesota somewhere in the middle. Because in the Forbes article, I believe you mentioned Michigan, and that we kind of just used that as a foil, showing that there's two sides to each extreme. And to your question on why we didn't use Rise, they're a national conglomerate. They are in medicinal. They can have up to 8 stores. They got a bunch of legislation and laws changed in their favor. So now they can cultivate more than any standalone cultivator can. So if there is any monopoly, I probably would look to them. So we did not use them as a benchmark for our standalone retail operation.
I'm sorry, I missed what I was saying. I didn't mean why didn't you use Rise? I mean, why didn't the council go to a Minnesota company with actual experience in the medical marijuana market to do benchmarks for Minnesota company? That's my concern. I think your experience in Missouri is fantastic for Missouri. I think it's wholly inappropriate for Minnesota due to the legal framework set up that is completely different between the two states.
Okay, so we are not a cultivator. We are not fully integrated. This is just a standalone retail operation that's operating a dispensary. So as far as the whole market, it's, I guess I don't really see how it's not relevant.
Yeah, how did you come up with the forecast if there were no Minnesota companies to use as an example? You went off of your experience in Missouri, right? That's what you keep saying, your experience in Missouri.
Yeah.
Your experience in Missouri is going to be completely different than your experience in Minnesota due to the regulations that have been put in place in both states. When Voyageur first did the strategy, and I've seen the strategy from Grand Rapids and St. Anthony Village also, at least in part, very boilerplate, same for everybody. We're all going to be a great, unique, perfect opportunity. What I'm wondering is, how is it possible that you can use Missouri and compare it to transplant Missouri's success into Minnesota when the regulatory frameworks are so polar opposite? Missouri has caps. Minnesota has no caps on micro businesses. That means that they can go from seed to store. We have already around 1,000 preliminary licenses given to micro businesses in the state of Minnesota. You don't have that in Missouri. In Missouri, you have micro businesses that are prevented legally from being vertically integrated. You allow the big corporations to be integrated vertically. Minnesota is the opposite. We are going to have thousands of vertically integrated micro businesses. That's completely separate from Missouri. So how can you say that the Missouri model that you based your experience on is anywhere near appropriate for what's happening in Minnesota?
I think there's maybe a misunderstanding. We used benchmarks as in store data, as in transactions, repeat customers, things of that nature. We did not, get into the cultivation aspect. And to your point on the micro businesses, yes, that was a change that came at the 12th hour by the state. It was going to be a cap on that, and they uncapped those, as you mentioned, and I disagree that there will be thousands of cultivators, but we will see.
I don't know that there's going to be thousands. I'm saying there's already over 1,000 preliminary licenses pulled. They're not all going to survive. We all know.
And they're all not going to grow.
Right. We all know that. But the fact is, what is allowed in Minnesota is the polar opposite of what's allowed in Missouri. So I am worried that you're basing your numbers, the numbers that you're giving to our council, based on your experience of awesome sales in Missouri, which are not going to happen for quite some time in Minnesota. We're going to experience that price compression because our framework matches states like Washington, New Jersey, and New York. Their framework is so much more similar to the Minnesota framework than the Missouri framework. So all of their prohibition on vertical integration is going to have that incredible demand outstripping supply. So you have that $4,500 per pound for cannabis in Minnesota right now. As the cultivators increase, as the retail increases, that's gonna drive the prices down. That's where you're gonna see that cannabis price compression over and over and over. Missouri is quite literally the only state in the union that did not see it because you set up a protectionist market. So I'm not against cannabis. I think it's a great idea if it's a moneymaker. What I'm against is using a different state's model as a way of benchmarking sales and revenues when it's nothing like what is done in Minnesota. That concerns me. And I know I'm putting you on the spot.
Well, I mean, I guess it's a differing of opinions then, I guess, between you and I.
Regulatory strategy is not a difference of opinion. It's in the law. It's in the Constitution.
Yeah, it's not a one-to-one comparison, as you mentioned. There's a cap of 90 in Missouri, there's a cap of 50 in Minnesota, then there's also the meso business licenses, which are gonna, add to that 50. So it's just a different thing right now.
Exactly. So why are you using that different thing for your basis of making a business in Minnesota? Am I not saying this correctly? I mean.
So it's a new market in Minnesota.
Yes, it is.
So you use benchmarks to,
You use a benchmark.
Because there was no historical data and we updated our forecasts with, the data
There are 50
that's.
states in the union. There are 50 states in the union. A whole bunch of them have had legalized marijuana for recreational use for decades. Why did you choose Missouri? Is it just because you personally had experience in Missouri? Why didn't we choose somebody from Washington who's been through this? Why didn't we choose somebody from Colorado who's been through this, who has a similar regulatory framework? Why did we choose a place that had something so polar opposite to what Minnesota implemented? That's my concern. I don't think that it's a bad idea to put cannabis in. I don't like it here because there's so many other drug and smoke shops here, so that's a personal opinion. But from a revenue standpoint, marijuana sells. We all know that. My concern is that you used the wrong model. And I would like to have somebody inside Minnesota look at this business to see if the numbers that you are going on actually make sense. Because right now, sorry, I know I keep cutting you off, but this is my time. Right now, we're lagging everything. Our test lab facilities, we already lost one. They said, we've had enough, they closed down. So there's a bottleneck in that testing, which in the long run may not be a problem. We all know that things need to be. But, sorry, I lost my train of thought because I kept interrupting you. My apologies. Yeah, it just comes back to reusing the wrong mode. And, that's what it is. Going on the real-time data provided by the OCM. When I accumulated all that data and looked through it, at the time we had 128 operating dispensaries in Minnesota. You divide that paltry monthly sales by 128 different places, they were averaging, if you do the projections and you follow the slope, we're definitely increasing. Everybody knows we're going to increase in profits, in revenues, not necessarily profits, excuse me. But if you do that progression, you follow that trend line, by the end of the year, we're still looking at every cannabis dispensary in the state averaging just over $1 million. They have our projection at 2.5, 3 times that, just for Osseo. That makes no sense to me. I don't know how it can make sense to you. So I'm not asking you to totally put a kibosh on this project. I think it could be beneficial. I think there are problems with it. I think it's important that we look at real data and use the regulatory framework established in this state rather than something that was established in a different state.
you analyzed Anoka's numbers?
I don't have access to Anoka's numbers. I mean, I'd love to. I would be
Yeah,
able to
because
like just stop in and say hi.
because our numbers are a little under what Anoka's currently doing for the last, I think they're open February.
Yeah. But Anoka's huge. Have you seen it?
I could. So
Spiders.
Because Anoka is a municipal dispensary, that is public data, so I would actually suggest, because I can't say anything more right now, but yes, that's a good thing to think of.
They're doing about 470,000 a month.
They're a much bigger city.
Okay, I'll look
Yes.
at that. I love data. I'm an engineer. Also love data. So I hope I've made my case for at least looking at Minnesota regulation and maybe doing a new business analysis with somebody that's familiar with Minnesota rather than relying on Missouri. There are plenty of places that you can go to. Rise, I brought up Rise because when Minnesota legalized medical marijuana back in the oldie days of 2015, it was legalized in 2014. First sales came in 2015. Smokable flower was banned because they were killjoy. Zero excise tax compared to 4% in Missouri. Minnesota gave 2 exclusive licenses for medical marijuana. One was to Minnesota Medical Solutions and the other was to Leafline Labs. Rise bought Minnesota Medical Solutions. So when you see Rise coming up all over the place, it's because Minnesota Medical Solutions had a foundational expertise in the Minnesota market. I think we should be looking to companies like that who have that expertise. That's the only reason I bring that up. So, moving right along, I promise I'll be quick. Well, I suppose no. Just a note on Highway 35 LLC, the 138-acre compound that's going to be doing cultivating and manufacturing. They're going to be trying to get people to lease for THC, hemp-derived cannabis products, or hemp-derived THC products, the edibles and things like that. The federal ban on hemp-derived THC is coming up. That looks to be pretty devastating to a lot of the small manufacturers, so that's something to be aware of. Did I lose all my other questions? I'm going through some questions that other residents had that I think have been answered. Another one that keeps coming up is why do you want all of these adult-oriented businesses in a tiny town? We quite literally have, within 4 blocks, 4 linear blocks, we have 2 bar and grills, which are okay, whatever, but they still sell quite a bit of liquor. We have a liquor store that sells to minors. We have 2 smoke shops that does all the THC, the vapes, the edibles, and now we're going to have 2 dispensaries. Again, I'm not against cannabis, I'm not against alcohol, but we're a tiny town and you're putting all that in. Have you thought about how that image reflects on the rest of the residents here? I'm not sure anybody has, because you still think using the Osseo water tower is a good idea. That's our water tower, and you're associating it with marijuana. So you're making that decision for all of us. that Osseo is gonna be a pot store now. Again, I'm not against legalized weed, I'm against how you are proposing to brand it. Another question that some people had is, at the beginning, we're gonna have the employees of the cannabis shop be city employees, but it appears as though those employees are they gonna be Vogageur employees at that point? I guess people were wondering why that change was made. Was it for liability or?
There was actually never a plan where a city staffer would be in there. It was never gonna be a city employee.
Thank you for clearing up the $4 million bond thing. I think that was a number that was, it's been repeated in some of the agendas, and I think people clung to that. Having that lower makes things a little better, but still I would strongly encourage you to look at Minnesota regulatory instead of Missouri. And I'm bypassing some of my more sarcastic questions. Because they feel good to write down, but I'm trying to be respectful of everybody's time and not be a dick. People are concerned about, based on the June 22nd meeting, it appears as though we took some council members by surprise with what we were presenting, which is why we're all here now. I guess we're wondering why you chose to move forward with a 10-year lease before you knew what was going to happen. Because now we're locked into renovating for that. As a landlord, our obligation is now to do the shell, to do the core, to do the utility mains. Why did we sign a 10-year lease before we had any plans solidified for that building?
I can't speak for anybody else, but I'll say why I was for it. And that's simply put, if we have a building and it's sitting empty, that's a liability. A building that is going to produce money is an asset. I mean, that's just basic economics. The fact that, as far as I understand it, that build out that was in the little square that's there, the graphic that we saw, the blue, that's them doing their spot. So if I have a tenant who is willing to improve a part of a building, that was the thought process for me. And if we got somebody ready that's already in business and willing to move from another municipality to here to bring that business over here, again, rightly or wrongly, that's what was behind, to answer your question.
That makes sense, I understand that. Personally, I think you got a great deal on the building. It was significantly lower in price per square foot than a lot of business buildings, so I'm not gonna hammer you on that. I thought it was a good deal. What I think is not a good deal is that 10-year lease, because that obligated us to spend millions of dollars to fix the building, where that 10-year lease is only gonna get us $430-some thousand over that 10 years. I didn't see any sort of rent increase agreement over the terms.
So there's 4% annually. So think of that as we are going to make 4% every year, year over year, which is then cumulative. So that's compounding. So any money that comes in compounds year over year. So rule of sevens, which I think you probably are aware of. Okay, rule of sevens within that 7th year, in which it'll, I think, be less than that. But rule of sevens, quite simply put, is that when you invest money, after 7 years, it's supposed to, all things considered, double. So using, again, that fundamental, and also understanding as an attorney who does landlord-tenant law, there are a number of different things that we can do, because someone brought up a pension. Okay, so what if they tank? What if they do? Okay, well, there are circumstances to that, and they signed up for that as a tenant. So, yeah, again, for me, and it was only for me, my thought process was, I saw that building sitting there empty for what seems like years now. An opportunity came up, and I thought it sounded like a good business opportunity to get some money coming in, irrespective of what happens with cannabis. An empty building with a tenant is better than an empty building that is losing money, and it rises the tax base, by the way, as well.
My only counter to that would be that now you have a building that you put in 1.5, 1.6. I'm sorry, I didn't catch the numbers, they were so tiny. You're putting in over $1 million into making sure that that building is ready for your tenant to get their certificate of occupancy. The rent that you're charging is not gonna cover the money that you're putting into it. And that's why I'm wondering, I mean, I think having a brewery here is gonna be awesome, you know, but I'm stuck on that 10-year thing. I mean, doing it for a year or two because questions were still up in the air about the cannabis would have made sense, but 10 years puts us on the hook for 10 years. And I don't know how you're gonna recoup that investment into the building just based on that one tenant. So that's, you know, if the cannabis doesn't go through. So that's my concern and some other residents' concern.
I'm actually one of the owners of the brewery, so I can speak. Hi. So the 10-year thing, totally get it. For us, this is costing us a lot of money as well.
Yep.
We're moving, we're getting another 10-year loan, and the 10-year lease is just the start. We're not gonna walk out of here after 10 years, right? So our goal is to be here forever. So that's kind of why the 10-year lease shows a commitment from them and a commitment from us. So I wasn't expecting to speak, so, yeah. Yeah, of course. But yeah, like I said last time at the meeting, if anybody wants to talk to me, I'm an owner-operator. I'm at the brewery every day. So I should be there today, but I want to be here. I know. But yeah, so that's it. Thank you.
So the 4% year over year, is that in a different contract, or did I miss the one? I miss it in the one that you posted online.
It's in the lease document.
Yeah, I guess that's all I have. A lot of the questions were already answered. Thank you very much for your time.